You never know what might come out of left field to rattle and shock the precious metals markets, and what just occurred today could send a very strong message for multiple reasons. We're going to talk about that and so much more as we explore. Today's moves in the precious metal markets all around were pretty amazing. Massive moves to the upside for all the metals except for rhodium. But silver is the metal that's shown strong today in a dramatic rise up over 5%. It boosted up over $1.18 as I record this video to $24.25. The gold to silver ratio is now down to 75.3. Oh, an amazing move for silver today. And there's a reason why this happened. But before we get into the meat of this, I want to talk a little bit about why it's difficult to really predict silver's price because of what happened today. Who would have ever thought that this could come out of left field to have such an impact on the markets in one day? Now, this could be an overreaction, sure, but I think it sends an overall larger message. If you enjoy videos like this where I talk about the markets and I keep you up to date with the latest news as it breaks with regards to precious metals, I hope you will consider pressing that thumbs up button down below and subscribing to the channel. But this is probably one of the most dramatic moves that I've seen in silver this year for the reasons as well that I think are going to really shock you. Especially knowing where it came from. We see that they're up sharply in early U.S. trading on Tuesday, and here it is later into the afternoon. And it's because it's supported by a solid drop in the U.S. dollar. In fact, when we do look at the U.S. dollar, that is really the catalyst for why silver will rise. The dollar is down. Actually, it's not down by a whole lot. All things are considered, it's down by just over 0.63%. It's now at 103.96. What's going to happen if it falls below 100? Many people feel that's kind of a psychological level for the dollar that could really send precious metals up even more. But when we look at silver, especially compared to gold, and gold had a good day as well too, it's up over 1.7%. The dollar index is down. The Dow Jones Industrial is up. So the precious metals are up and the markets are up pretty much all the way around, except for the Nikkei. The Nikkei, it's actually down. And that is where we're leading in this. The Bank of Japan on Tuesday made an unexpected move to tighten its monetary policy. Now, I'm going to stop right there and tell you a little bit of the history of the Japanese markets and what their central bank has been doing. They've been doing a lot of these Keynesian quantitative easing monetary policies. So for them to do this unexpectedly is quite a surprise. And so they've been kind of the holdout. And in a sense, the yen, they've been printing a lot of it. There's a lot of inflation there in Japan. And that is what has led to this, typically gold and silver, kind of busting out or holding back, and to some extent as well too, because you kind of always can rely on Japan to kind of do the wrong thing within terms of what their central bank is doing. But now they're going to be doing this unexpected tightening. And they raised the cap for the interest rate on its 10-year bond by a quarter of a percentage point. The Japanese yen surged against the U.S. dollar in the foreign exchange markets. So that was it. The yen is surging against the U.S. dollar. So now Japan is doing the right thing, and their yen is now coming out and catching up and really becoming sort of a competitor to the dollar in the foreign exchange market. Bond and stock markets were jolted on the news because Japan is a big player in global bond markets. So that is the coupling with their tightening policy and with their bond, cap, raising their cap to the 10-year bond by a quarter percentage point. Japanese citizens being the big savers that they are and put much of their money into global stocks and bonds. In fact, why? That's just it. So the Japanese government, the central bank, they have this easy monetary policy, and Japanese citizens are being big savers. They're kind of doing the right thing. It's the government that's not. Pretty remarkable when you think about it. The Japanese citizens and companies may opt to keep more of their money at home with this higher domestic bond yield cap. Speculators worldwide had for years been putting on a yen-based carry trade that suddenly became very shaky. With world financial markets so highly intertwined, all of the above would likely work to boost gold and silver on safe haven buying. And this is the recap from Kitco News on this. Global stock markets, we saw, were mixed to weaker over the course of the night, but now they're up here today at midday towards the end of the day. But the Nikkei is actually kind of hurt by this. Remarkable, interesting to think about. And so that is where it is. So the dollar index is lower. So with that threat from the dollar from an unlikely source, the yen, that has what has caused the markets to go up. And so this as all of the above work to boost gold and silver with a safe haven buying demand. So again, gold is up fairly dramatically, but silver 5.29%. In fact, as I'm recording this video, it's ticked up a couple of other pennies, a couple of other cents, couple more cents rather, and that's where silver is now. Now, this means that this kind of scenario is important for a multiple various different reasons, and number one being that it puts pressure on the US dollar as the global dominant currency. Now, does not mean that it's going to break the dollar. It does not mean that it's going to have any more effect, in the short term for the dollar, but it's another chisel against the dollar's hegemony. And so when you look at that and you look at it compared to what other nations are doing, such as Turkey, such as Egypt, trying to decouple the pound from the dollar, and Saudi Arabia, and wanting to buy oil, trade oil for gold, and China, what China's been wanting to do for a while, and Russia, obviously, for a myriad of different reasons, but obviously there for what they're trying to do. You couple all of that with the BRICS nations, plus, because more and more nations are kind of leaning more to that angle, what the BRICS are doing to try to decrease their dominance on the dollar. And so what are the ways you can do that? Well, you can strengthen your own bond market and encourage your citizens to save and strengthen your own currencies, as what Japan is doing, or you can get more gold in your central bank, which is what Turkey is doing, and other nations around the world as well are adding more gold. And by the way, India is adding a lot more silver. And so, it's only a matter of time before you start to see some of these come together, and we are going to potentially see a breakout for silver. This could be the beginning of it. This is why this is important. We see the dollar's weakness here from this one move today to take a pretty big chunk out of the dollar's reign, at least in terms of its strength for today, the dollar index compared to these other currencies out there. So if more nations did the right thing, especially at the same time, that could further weaken the dollar compared to these other currencies. And if it's sustained long enough, and especially if we start to see other nations trade in other currencies that are stronger against the dollar, well, there you have it. Then all bets are off for gold or silver, at least as they are measured in dollars. But these other currencies strengthening up, gold and silver may actually go down there. Now, I don't know how much of a bullion market is over in Japan, but nonetheless, this is important because this could be essentially the beginning of a bull run for precious metals, and especially silver, if it continues in this vein. And we see the fallout from this heading into, it's going to have to be next week, but how much attention are the markets going to pay to this, which means that this price increase that we've seen may hold and may stick, because there's not going to be much trading heading into Christmas and even in through New Year's. And so that's why this could potentially start to see a new floor for silver at around the $23, $24 mark, which means we may head into 2023 with over $24 silver. You never know. I mean, it's comfortably above that level right now. Remarkable to see, amazing. And platinum and palladium both have reacted as well. In fact, the loser metal today, if you want to call it that, the one that performed the least is gold, up 1.77%, whereas we see platinum and palladium up over 2.6%, palladium over 3.8%, and whereas silver now, as I record this video, it is up 5.31%, up $1.22. That's a massive move in one day. I won't necessarily call it an explosion, but it is pretty darn close to it. A dramatic move like that in one day, over 5%. $24.29 as I record this video right now. It's wild to see this. This is, again, I think this is probably the biggest move we've seen all year. And you would think that around this time, people would be winding down and just going on and going about their things and preparing for the Christmas and holiday season. So there you go. Remarkable to see. Amazing. This is where the markets are. This is what silver is doing. And what is the best thing we can do during this time? Well, hold on to the silver you got. I think that's the biggest move. I actually bought a little bit before the price really scooted up earlier, but I'll show that in another video sometime. But, you know, it's I always have this philosophy of dollar cost averaging in a special way, not just dollar smart. I refer to it as smart dollar cost averaging, where you buy a little bit more silver when the price goes down, especially dramatically. You buy a little less silver when the price goes up. And maybe like days like today, you don't buy any silver. You know, if it goes up 5.3% in one day, it might just be good to take a step back, because it could still be an overreaction. In fact, seeing as we're getting closer and closer to Christmas, likely there may not be much trading, which means these prices are likelier to stick. And if they stick, it may become more ingrained into the markets as we head into the new year. So that's why today is special, for those reasons. Very interesting indeed. Very important as well. This is one of the reasons why I like to cover these topics with the movement of silver's price, for reasons that we find out are happening around the world, especially unexpected reasons like we talked about. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and stack.